Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. AVAX alert here. Let's take a quick look. And when I say alert, a lot of my alerts triggered earlier today. Unfortunately, I was sleeping when this pump occurred. But good news is it's back on track here for the most part. We don't want to celebrate prematurely, but we want to recognize this $42 range, previous resistance. Got to treat it as such, right? So again, we're in a resistance range for the moment. And what do? You wait for that resistance range to be broken before you take a trade. Unless you want to be a breakout trader and have a low success rate, generally unfavorable conditions when trying to breakout trade, you can maybe consider that. Getting some skin in the game is okay, don't get me wrong. Just don't go all in right now at resistance. I guess that's the common misperception. People seem to think that resistance ranges are just immediately broken. Usually it takes a test or two. We might actually be past that point. We'll talk more about that here. Anyways, that support range recently held. Apologies again as well for lack of coverage on AVAX recently. I had a pretty vicious cold over the weekend / earlier this week. Didn't really, it put me back a little bit. So good news is I'm back on track. Bad news is I didn't cover this coin like I typically like to. So thanks again for your patience and appreciate anything and all that you've done for me too, because I gotta say there's some really awesome community members here that we have that came from AVAX alone as far as heavy followers there. So appreciate my AVAX community. Quick congrats to our community here too. We got a pretty active community today. Everyone's pretty happy about a lot of the profits here. 32% from SUI in 22 hours. We've got a Modang long as well with pretty heavy in profit right now. We're about 29 cents. It's closer to 31, 32 right now. So good stuff there. Anyways, I like to just kind of highlight that because that's awesome stuff. You got to celebrate what you can when you can. The market's on fire today. Honestly, any long probably would have worked out really well. But yesterday there was a lot of confirming factors that Bitcoin was back on track, and that's a lot of what the catalyst was for these types of trades that either we're taking, or just say for example our day trades looking pretty strong here. What Matic, Chainlink, Bitcoin took a small loss on ETH short, and then SUI long there with a Litecoin short with SUI long. So again, for the most part, the trades are doing pretty well. And for the most part right now, you don't want to short into anything. That's really the common conception here, or I wouldn't say misconception, but folks do have the understanding that shorting into an overextension is just kind of what you do. It's not true. Erase that from your mentality. It's really just a very unsuccessful way to trade. So again, overextension does help understanding that, but we don't want to just kind of blindly take trades because of that, okay? All right, anyways, let's go ahead and look at liquidation first, kind of work our way down. There's no liquidation left in the last 7 days, so anyone who shorted in the last 7 days is totally destroyed, okay? Good news is people aren't trying to short anymore, so it does imply that a liquidation delta is more bullish than bearish, which is great. You want to trade in that trend here. Do I recommend taking a long at the top right now, the potential top? No, but I also don't recommend shorting either, right? And that's what trading is all about too, folks, is identifying times to trade, times not to. Just because a coin's overextension is running doesn't mean you have to jump in. Again, I'm only saying that because we're at resistance. We haven't broken that resistance range yet. $42 or higher, a closure above that level, probably a different story altogether. But for right now, a little premature, but we can see here some liquidation here. Once again, at 42.50, people do like to put their liquidation levels, or more importantly, their stop losses. Liquidation events occur there too because they are late shorts and they're using high leverage. But 42.50 is that area there, between 42.50 and 43. So we could very well see a wick up to that level. If we do, we get some good volume, we may be able to sustain that price action. Okay, so again, just some kind of things to be aware of. Now, when we look at the moving averages here, we're over the 20-day SMA just as of today. We haven't closed above it yet, but we're likely going to. The 50-day SMA, however, is hanging out there at about $42, $43, right? So reinforcing that resistance range or just being below the trend. As you can see here, since we've been underneath this moving average, we haven't closed above it yet, okay? So confirming a bullish breakout for AVAX would be closing above that $43 mark, okay? That's just kind of what I'm going to be looking for. When we look at the RSIs and everything else here, we can see that we're in a good position here, breaking above 50. While we truly haven't closed above it yet, it's looking pretty likely here if we can get 41 plus. So the reality here is that seeing a price action of $43 is probably pretty high. But sustaining that level and closing above it is a different story altogether, right? We need a lot of volume to maintain that. Volume right now, it's pretty low considering how the price action is moving. Okay, we're well below the moving average. There's a lot of reasons why. I'm not saying this is a fake out or a false positive. It's just that We need more volume to be able to get through and to punch through that $42, $43 mark. We are MACD, we're converging on the MACD too, so it shows us good momentum. And the truth is here, if you look at the trend line, or basically just, that horizontal resistance from the last, 3 attempts to break this level, 41.20, 41.25, that's roughly that resistance level. So again, closing above that is going to be good. So honestly, we close above $41 today. We're probably in pretty decent shape to see further upside. But how that volume flows in is gonna matter. We have good volume in the last 12 hours. Don't get me wrong, most of the market's looking like that. Bitcoin dominance is on the decrease. There's a lot of reasons why most altcoins should sustain their price action. Pending Bitcoin doesn't dump, right? Bitcoin's in that $98,000 to $100,000 resistance range. So we got to give that a chance to play out too. Again, all the more reason to be a little more patient. I'd much rather in these situations recommend you wait for a long that never happens than to insist on you taking a long at the top at resistance or trying to short into that, which hypothetically you can find some success there. It's just not a market to short right now, okay? And that can change in an instant here in another couple hours. That's the funny thing about it. But as of this recording, that's essentially the concept. Anyways, we got good support between 33 and 36.50. We talked about that way previous. But good to see that level essentially holding. We want to talk about the 4-hour time frame and recognize that we're at the 70 level on the RSI. We break above that, again, we see 43, we're probably going to continue to run, mainly because we've broken above a key level resistance, kind of reinforcing that we are, breaking out, right? Between now and then, if you want to get some skin in the game right now, I totally understand it. Just make sure it's not a large position. It's okay to be a breakout trader. Just don't be like a breakout trader that uses high leverage and, uses a large chunk of your portfolio. You should know it's always a high risk, so you limit your risk and use less of a position, right? Again, there's things that I kind of think about that most people don't, and I have to reinforce that because we got a lot of newer traders on the channel, and it's important to, always reinforce best practice. You'll never hear me not say that. Having said that, stochastic RSI is swinging up, MACD is still converging. There's no reasons here to short this coin. We do have potential resistance at about 44/45 with that 0.5 fib level and that 200 SMA hanging out there. So it's generally just construed as a resistance range. And then at this point here on the hourly, just like pretty much every single coin in the market right now, we have all confirming factors to leave your long position open, to not take a short, and that if you're gonna consider trading, a long position is much more viable than a short. I will, however, tell you that this is what I'm going to be looking for an entry if I were to take one. I'd consider low $40 as an entry because a lot of times a local high can be retested as a new low. So in a perfect world, this staircase pattern continues. We'll see a retest that's $40.50 range. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and set a loose alert here to reevaluate at 40.50 roughly, and then kind of see roughly where we're at that point. Keep in mind between now and then, I'm not just going to take a long in the blind with leverage. I'm more so, if I ever set limit orders, they're only spot bag limit orders. And if I'm going to take a long, I'm going to wait for confirmation. It would make more sense to wait for the price to pull back. Again, it may never happen, but I'm going to be much more interested in a low $40 range for a long than I will be right now. Because again, we're still in this resistance range until we break free from $42, $43. We can presume it's going to continue to hold. Okay. All right, that's what we got there. I hope that made sense and I described that correctly. Make sure you take advantage of this awesome benefit this month here. MacBook Pro and a Rolex available for you through Bitunix. These are individual rewards, not shared rewards, so anyone can qualify for that. And I hope that you do check out my Twitter, Telegram, and Discords. I basically just post playout charts here after I analyze the charts. So if you're not familiar with that, I kind of give you insight on where I'm planning to take trades, where I want to get in, and just generally giving you an overview too as well. So that's all there for you. And if you want to check out our results too, last month was a pretty profitable month, 83% accuracy. I think there was somewhere in the range of 25 to 30 trades, if not mistaken. Pretty good month, but again, we didn't take a ton of trades, and that's just how it goes. It's important not to over trade. All right, have a good rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.